Good morning, everyone. My name is Luh Tiamentari Pitri. At this time, I would like to present the contents of an article entitled Incorporating Local Culture in English Teaching Material for Undergraduate Students. The first part is Introduction. The existing English teaching materials were too difficult, overly focused on reading, only had very little speaking activities, and didn't have listening activities. The Hinduism Education Department students thought that they don't need English in their study because the existing materials for English core were not relevant to their studies. So, the author conducted the study to develop English teaching material based on the needs of Hinduism Education Department students, overcome the weaknesses of the existing materials, and combine local culture to make learning more engaging and relevant to their department, which will help and encourage students to learn English. The research question of this research were, what were the weaknesses of the existing materials? What were the students' opinion about the comparison of new material with the existing materials? Does this new material suit the students' needs? And does incorporation of local culture material help the Hinduism Education Department students in learning English? The hypotheses of this study were that the new culturally relevant teaching material would be better than the existing materials, and this English teaching material that is combined with cultural would help students in learn English. The next part is methodology. This research used research and development or R&D research design by using a simplified version of the ADI development model by Dick and Curry. The participants of this research were 82 students of the first semester from Hinduism Education Department IA and Hinduism Education Department IB at the Denpasar campus of IHDN Denpasar. The data were collected using questionnaire, observation, and interview. The instruments used in this research were Likert scale questionnaire to gather students' opinion on the new material, observation of the teaching learning process, and interview to obtain detailed explanation about the new material. The data from questionnaire were triangulated through observation and interview. The data were gathered through descriptive qualitative analysis. The next part are result and discussion. The most important findings were the new teaching material is found to be more interesting, easier to understand, and more enjoyable for the students. It also helps students learn English more effectively than the existing materials. The hypotheses were supported by the findings. Look at this table. The questionnaire showed that in the first question, this material more interesting than the existing materials. 77% students strongly agree, 17% student agree, 5% student neutral, 1% student disagree, and 0% student strongly disagree with this statement. The second question is, this material is easier to understand than the existing materials. 68% students strongly agree, 28% student agree, 4% student neutral, 0% student disagree and strongly disagree with this statement. The third question is, this new material is more fun to learn than the existing material. 72% students strongly agree, 23% student agree, 4% student neutral, 1% student disagree, and 0% student strongly disagree with this statement. The fourth question is, this material helps me learn English better than the existing material. 85% students strongly agree, 15% student agree, 0% student neutral disagree and strongly disagree with this statement. And the last question is, I prefer to study English using this material than the existing material. 91% student strongly agree, 9% student agree, 0% student neutral disagree and strongly disagree with this statement. So, most of the students prefer using the new material rather than the existing materials. The new material contains relevant picture, colorful presentation, structural points, language activities such as speaking activities, listening activities, writing text, and language games. This also supported by the findings from interview, which showed that the students love the fresh and colorful look of the new material. And they also love the pictures included in the new material book. The pictures, colors, language game, and language activities in the new material help students reduce their anxiety and stress level. The new materials is familiar for the students. The texts were selected based on the students' cultural familiarity, such as the gods of Balinese Hinduism, Balinese offerings, the Sakih Temple, traditional tooth filling ceremony in Bali, the sacred Mohon Agung, Balinese marriage, Galungan and Kuningan, and also Nyepi. The answers to the research questions. The weaknesses of the existing materials were the topics of the new materials were too foreign. The content was too monotone because it's repeated activities in the field. The existing materials were too difficult because it used many unfamiliar Sanskrit vocabulary. And the student felt it was too boring because it was printed in black and white with very little picture. So the students feel that the new materials is more interesting, more fun, easier, and helps students better than the existing materials. And also, students prefer to study English using the new material rather than the existing materials. The new materials has based on the students' needs, since it motivates them learn not just for exams or grade, but also to master the skill that they need. This can be seen from the activities in the material that allow students learn independently at home. The new materials is beneficial for the students' learning process to help students understanding English better than the existing materials. The author explained this result by highlighting two main points. The first is the new material was developed based on the students' needs. And the second is the students prefer using the new material because it contains culturally familiar content. The author contrasted the result with the previous research. This research confirmed that the new material, by combining English with local culture, helps students in understanding English better. Similar to results by Florentino 2014, on integrating her local culture into English teaching. The findings suggest that combining local culture in English teaching material can improve student interest, reduce anxiety, and improve learning outcomes, especially when students thought that they didn't need to learn foreign language. The study only focused at undergraduate level of first semester, so it might give different results if using participants in different level or semester. The study only focused on developing the material by combining English with Balinese culture, so it might not work as well in the other culture. The study recommends future research to explore the effectiveness of culturally familiar material in teaching English at different levels and also different semester. Future research also should explore the effectiveness of culturally familiar material by combining English with other culture. In conclusion, the incorporation of local culture in English teaching material helps students in learning English, reduce students' stress level, and has based on the students' needs. The results of the study supports the hypothesis. It's recommended for future research to explore the effectiveness of using culturally familiar material in teaching English in different levels of our learning. All right, that's all my explanation about the article. Thank you for your attention.